Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to noon Central. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the In Wheel Time car show, your award-winning all things automotive place. Today, we have in the studio with us Mr. Michael A. Mars, Mr. Konrad DeLong.
All right.
What's your middle name?
Well, it's actually John Paul.
John Paul, like the Pope.
John, well, probably not. John
Paul DeLong?
John was my father's brother's name, who died in World War II.
Okay.
Went in through Normandy and got killed in Metz, France. And Paul was my mom's dad's name.
So where did Konrad come from?
That was my dad's name and his dad's name and his dad's name.
So is there Konrad in your name anywhere?
Yeah, Konrad.
Conrad John Paul.
Konrad John Paul.
Konrad's my first name.
Okay.
John is my baptismal name. Paul is my
Prison name.
no confirmation name.
Uh-huh.
No, Leroy is my prison name.
Isn't that like John, Paul, George, and Ringo?
Yeah, John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Perfect. Well, see, we learned something new.
There you go.
And there's actually, legally, Konrad John Paul DeLong III, because my grandfather...
Is that on your birth certificate?
Yeah, my grandfather... Well, no, it's John and Paul were added after the birth
I see, okay.
It's on his pre-release form.
My grandfather was a Konrad, my dad was Konrad Jr., and then I'm Konrad
That's
III.
really cool, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's good.
Good history.
Yeah.
And spelt with a K.
Yeah.
I know.
Which is the Austrian way to spell Konrad, not the German way to spell Konrad. But there's all the stories about.
And DeLong, what is that?
Well, the area of Germany we were from, my grandfather, I wasn't from there. My grandfather was the Alsace-Lorraine region of Germany, France. And it was always, every war, that section of land switches between Germany and France. So there's a French influence, but a German background. So
Interesting.
to somebody.
I don't have any of that.
Me either.
No.
Well,
I ain't got
yeah,
none
but
of
you're
that.
from.
I just
you're
got a
from
bunch
Wisconsin.
of Okies in Kansas.
So the Armstrongs immigrated from Scotland to Terre Haute, Indiana.
Okay.
It says a Christmas movie in that somewhere. I think that they mentioned Terre Haute
Isn't that
in
on
Christmas
Hallmark?
Story.
It's on Hallmark.
It's
I
on
was
Hallmark
watching that
Channel.
last night. Yeah.
Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mom's side of the family from Alabama, and
From
dad's
L.A.?
Alabama.
Lower Alabama.
No.
That's Lower A-Leaf.
Yeah, Laura A-Leaf, that's it. And Mr. Zekin over here from Detroit,
There you
Michigan.
go. That's
Him
where
and Ted Nugent. And,
Yeah, oh yeah. Detroit is where the weak are killed and eaten.
That's right, today, for sure. All right, well, enough of all of that. Mars, I'm not even...
Our family history. We're not going there.
It's hands up on
Mars'
Mars.
family tree looks like a telephone pole.
All right, so, a couple of months ago, we had a couple on the air with us, Andy and Mercedes Lilienthal, and they had a car called a Delica.
Yes.
And look at them. There they are, up in the great Northwest. It's so good to see you guys. Clearly, it is a little bit more chilly there than it is here in Texas.
It is
It's about 34.
34, so hello from wet Pacific Northwest.
Yes. So how are you guys doing? It's great to see you.
We're doing good. It's very thankful that it's sun here today. Yesterday it was pouring rain all day, so that would have made for an interesting podcast.
Yeah,
No-
give it 10 minutes.
Yeah, give it 10 minutes. So
We're doing great.
You had a very interesting car. And, clearly, you still do. It's called a Delica. So let's start with that and tell everybody that hasn't seen you before, what is a Delica?
Yeah, so a Delica is it's actually a portmanteau or a combination of words. It originally stood for delivery car, so Delica, delivery car. They originally debuted in the late 60s in Japan, and but they've evolved quite a bit since then. So what we have is a 1994 Mitsubishi Delica Space Gear. It is a four-wheel drive van. Ours is turbo diesel, four-wheel drive with a legitimate four-wheel drive system with a low-range transfer case. Ours has a 2.5-liter turbo diesel engine in it, but they came with a few different engine choices. They were sold kind of around the world, except for North America for the most part. So you could get them in Japan and in Europe and other parts of Asia and such. So being that it wasn't sold here, we had to wait until they were 25 years old to bring one in. And this is actually our second one. The first one we had was a little bit older, a little bit different body style, but we really like it because it's a great adventure platform, great for going off the pavement and getting to more remote camp spots and just taking great adventures.
Where did you guys find it?
This one, Florida. Yeah. So it's the classic story where you find that unicorn, right? You find that vehicle that you just, this is the one. And then where is it located?
Halfway around the world.
Literally across the country, literally. And so we ended up talking with the seller, and we thought, you know what, this is the one. And we just made it happen. We flew to Florida back in May, took all the necessary precautions for COVID and whatnot.
That was when it was a lot less of an issue.
Yeah, and then we ended up taking the delivery of the van, and drove it from Florida to Oregon. Stayed at truck stops and camped.
Brought our own food to make sure to be socially distanced as much as we could. So other than literally rest stops and fuel, we were self-contained.
Well, that's a little bit.
That's
a little bit of a roll of the dice to go jump in a 25-year-old vehicle you know very little about and drive 3,000 miles from Florida to back to Oregon.
Yeah,
we learned a lot.
Yeah, I'd say we like to live dangerously, but it's. I think we're just a little bit. We have a screw loose, perhaps. It's a metric size screw.
Right,
but anyway.
right.
Not only that, but the relationship is still solid.
Yeah, after all of that. So, are you standing by the '94 Delica?
We are.
We actually have you mounted on our jerry can right now, so we'll take you off.
Let me take you off here.
Okay.
All right, so let me switch the screen to the front.
Please.
If I can do that.
And
there we go.
And people may not.
Here was your camera stand.
Okay.
But so this is a Delica. As you can see, it's kind of rounded off. Some people said it looks a little bit like a Toyota Previa.
Yes.
And it sort of does, but it's like a Toyota Previa on steroids with a diesel engine. So the diesel engine makes about 140 horsepower and a 232 foot-pounds of torque. It's a 2.8 liter boosted four-cylinder engine. So like I had mentioned, it's got four-wheel drive. It's got a low-range transfer case. It's actually got kind of a trick transfer case. It's called a Super Select transfer case. And so what it has is you have two-wheel drive. Then you have a viscous coupler. So you have four-wheel drive high with an open center differential. Then you move it into four-wheel high lock, and that locks that center differential. And then you have a legit four-wheel drive low range. So we made a couple of modifications to ours already. We've only had it about 6 months, but we've been busy on it. So we have on the back here, the most obvious thing is this swing away tire carrier bumper and jerry can holder. This is from a company in Canada called Coastal Off-Road. They sell weld together kits. So we had this welded together and powder coated, and it mounts our spare tire here. So we have a full-size spare that's easily accessible should we actually need it. It's a 30 by 950 BF Goodrich KO2. So that's a little bit bigger than the factory size. It's obviously an all-terrain tire, not a highway tire. So on steel wheels, which are easy to replace or bend back into shape with a hammer, if that had to happen.
Andy, let me interrupt you and ask you, why did you pick a '94 Mitsubishi Delica? You know, they make things like Jeeps. They make, Toyota Previas. They make all sorts of different vehicles. Why this particular one?
Yeah, I like difficult things in life. That's why.
We do.
No, it's
we like a challenge.
We just have a penchant for the different kind of vehicles. I write a column for a magazine called Trails, and it's called Andy's Oddities, and it's all about kind of different four-wheel drives. I've had Jeeps, great vehicles. Don't get me wrong, great communities. My first four-wheel drive was a Suzuki Sidekick, and I just kind of liked having something a little bit different than the Jeep or the Tacoma or the 4Runner. They're all great vehicles, don't get me wrong. But I just kind of like something different. I also like the turbo diesel aspect of it, the low-end torque, that kind of thing, even just the diesel noise.
So you were that guy that I went to high school with, the only guy in town that I ever knew that had the Nash Metropolitan.
I I love Nash Metropolitans.
or the Renault Dauphine.
Yeah,
Yes.
or a Dauphine. Actually, it's funny you mentioned the Nash. I was actually a judge, an apprentice judge at the Forest Grove Concours d'Elegance here in Portland. And guess which category I got put into?
That
Nash
category.
Avanti. Nash Avanti. So,
What's your feeling about a Citroen?
I've never driven one. I know of them. I think they're pretty cool. I mean, they make so many of them, still in business. But I grew up with Mitsubishi. That's the other thing.
So your Delica becomes quite a conversation starter when you pull into an area that's got other off-roaders, because I would assume 95% of them have never seen it, much less know what it is.
Yeah, that's right. I always tell people, because I write quite a bit about these vehicles, and I always tell people, if you're not willing to talk to people at gas stations and rest stops and pretty much any trailhead or wherever you go, this is not the vehicle for you, because everybody's like, whoa, what is that? Like, oh, it's a Mitsubishi Delica. Oh, it's right-hand drive. Yeah. Is that a turbo diesel? Yeah, it is. It's not four-wheel drive. Yeah, it's four-wheel. Wow, well, where'd you get it? Well, we had it. How much you pay for it? Well, yeah, I mean, it's. So I got to go. I've got an appointment. They're very, very much conversation starters. I mean, just by the looks of it, right? I mean, it's a van with knobby tires and big swingway bumper on the back and all that.
Yeah, and all the neighbors think you're the crazy guy with the lifted family van.
Oh, they don't think that. They know that. Yeah.
How many miles did it have on it when you bought it?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think it was. Do you remember Mercedes?
Oh gosh,
I think it was
60,000.
Oh, not many.
I think it was just like 45,000 actual miles.
Wow, so you really scored on this one if that's all it was. I assume that it was an older couple down in Florida that had it?
No, it was actually there's a shop in Fort Myers, California called Good Karma.
Fort Myers. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Fort Myers, Florida, not California.
Sorry.
Wrong coast.
Sorry, I'm on the West Coast here. Anyway, Fort Myers, Florida, and called Good Karma, Karrma, Good Karma Vans or Car Automotive. The owner's name is Kellen Carr, and he has started bringing in Delicas here and there. And I was on his forum site, delicaforum.com, and we were just chatting. I still had my old van, and he said, "Oh yeah, I just picked up this one just brought it in, and man, it's so cool." And
it's a manual too.
And I said, "Oh, that's cool. I'm actually thinking about selling my other one." And he says, "Oh yeah." And he showed me pictures. I said, "Man, that's sweet." I said,
"Really clean too."
I said, "It's not a manual, is it?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, tell me more." And so we got talking, and this was right in May. This was actually in March. And we had just we were just about to sell our other van. We sold it almost immediately. And then we thought, you know what? How crazy do we want to be? We decided to be pretty crazy. So it was a good find.
So you've obviously done something there to the front end as well? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is Coastal Off-Road's front bumper. So this is also a weld-together kit. It has an integrated winch mount. We've got our Warn Xeon 8S winch up front there, so we can recover ourselves. The kit has a skid plate option that we went with, so it's got a nice bit of front end protection, helps protect the oil pan, helps protect the oil filter. We've got the grill guard up here for a little bit of extra protection. We have Light Force 6-inch driving lights. These are their Venom lights. And then we have Light Force Rock 40 floods here pointed out to the angles, kind of for ditch lights, so we can see anything approaching us.
How much do those two bumpers weigh?
That's a good question. I don't remember. Do you remember, Mercedes?
Oh, gosh. I want to say the front, I might be off. Maybe 80 pounds?
I think it's about 75 to 80 pounds on the front. But keep in mind, we pulled off a bunch of stuff, too. There was a factory bull bar and factory lights. So I'm sure we tacked on some weight. I'm not going to lie about that.
Did you do any suspension modifications?
That's the next thing on our list. So we are
still working on
at suspension. Yeah, we're looking at suspension modifications right now. There's a couple of companies out there that do offer lift kits for these. It's a rear coil spring with the solid axle. The front is independent with torsion bars. So there's no big lift kits or anything by just jacking up the front end. So, you get generally heavier duty torsion bars. You crank them up a bit. The rear is about a 1.5 to 2 inch lift. with heavier duty springs and then shocks all around.
Well, Andy and Mercedes, I have to tell you that back in the day, my dad had a friend. His name was Ivan Baxter. And Ivan Baxter bought things like miniature railroads, set them up out in cow fields, and it was a steam-powered kiddie train that they'd take the kids for a ride on. He was one of those kind of guys who we'd go to his house, and there would be, a dozen kids there, and it was almost this menagerie of things in the backyard of the most odd, weird, crazy things. And I mean this in every due respect, please, but I think that you guys are the coolest nerds that I have ever met in my entire life.
Hey, I've been called
We'll
worse.
take that as a compliment.
Well,
It was meant as one.
it's meant as a complete compliment because I love you guys. Listen, talk about somebody that is off the wall. That would be me, and that is
true.
I
It's
could
true.
totally go along with you guys on this thing. It's odd enough that you're going to bring anybody and everybody in on a conversation at every gas station you go to. What is it?
Right,
And,
and it looks really, really cool.
Yeah,
It is.
it
It's
actually
clean.
does.
and
look
it's
pretty
all
cool.
I like it.
functional.
I like the hood scoop.
We do a piece on our Facebook page called Unicorn Hunting, and you are the unicorn hunter because you have truly found that unicorn. That's
bagged
pretty
it.
cool.
Do you have pictures posted on a website or something that we can grab and make this the unicorn hunting feature of the week?
We do. You can check out our website, crankshaftculture.com, like my patch here on the hat. We're also on Instagram at Crankshaft Culture. So those are, and Facebook at Crankshaft Culture. We do have a YouTube channel as well.
Well, I have to tell you.
But go ahead.
No?
No, I was going to say, before we run out of time here, I was going to ask, don't show them, but that other one that's sitting up there underneath the cover, I can't even remember how to say the name of it.
Padero.
Oh, Pajero.
Pajero.
Yes.
Pajero. Yeah.
Which one?
The
Which one? We've got two.
The one that you went in Alaska at minus 43 degrees in. We're going to talk about that in January.
Oh, I love
Yes.
that. So we're going to have them back in January?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about this other thing they've got up under there.
You know, the next time that we talk, after we get done with the January feature, I think that we need to just sit around the campfire with you guys, and I'm talking about your living room, and we can just talk about all of these kind of weird off the road things that you do. I mean, we want to be you.
They're into driving. They can drive it down to Texas. Drive it down to Texas.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe, a summertime in the Texas Hill Country would be a good meetup place for us.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Fantastic. Beautiful country.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Well,
Love Texas.
Listen, and we love you guys, and I hope that you took out everything as a compliment that I said, because it was. 94
Absolutely.
Mitsubishi Delica and Andy and Mercedes Lilienthal. It is a true pleasure to talk to you guys again. We wish you a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. And let's talk again in January, and we'll talk about Alaska.
Sounds great.
Sounds great. Thanks for having us again. It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Love you. Talk to you guys soon. I love them. I
That is
truly
such
do.
it's actually a pretty cool minivan of all things, as a minivan that's lifted with the big fat tires on it.
What a fun couple. I want to be them. Well, at least for a day or two.
Wait until you hear about this other one that they've got.
I
sitting
can
up there
only
and
imagine.
what they have been doing with it.
Yeah. And by the way, it was not a put down at all.
Oh, no.
To
No, I think
refer
they
to them
enjoyed it.
as the Nash Metropolitan, because back in the day, the Nash Metropolitan was a big nerdmobile. But since then, there's a guy that here in town has a Nash Metropolitan, and he has a ginormous V8 with a blower sticking
Yeah,
out
it's
of it.
yellow with white.
Oh, yeah. I've seen him at
it.
the auto show.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, that's a ton of fun. We like the weird and the...
Eclectic.
That's why we like you, Don.
Weird.
And eclectic.
Well, look at me. Look at the shirt I'm wearing today. This is my Christmas Hawaiian outfit.
Yeah. It's not a moo-moo, people.
And
It's
I
not-
thought it was a shirt that had
It is a moo-moo, but he's just being nice.
Hurricane Harvey on it.
I'm thinking tiny bubbles.
All right, time now for
He's our Don Ho.
time now for Konrad's Car Clinic. And last week we started with part one of brake fluid.
Right.
And I guess we're going to do it part 2.
Yeah, last week we talked about what .3, .4, .5, .5.1 is. This week we're going to talk about the viscosity differences of brake fluid. So viscosity is a fluid's resistance to flow. Some people look at it as the thickness or the thinness of a fluid, but the true statement is the fluid's resistance to flow. So new cars and the high-tech cars that you're seeing today, they are actually speccing a low viscosity brake fluid. You know, brake fluid to a large degree hasn't really changed very much since the 50s. Brake fluid, whether it's .3 or .4. But now when you look at a lot of the European imports, the highline European imports, they're asking for a low viscosity fluid. And a lot of that's driven around the electronic stability programs that utilize the analog braking system and the traction control system to keep the car straight in odd situations. You know, back in the old days, you'd had to manually pump the brake pedal driving on slippery conditions. Today, with the analog brake system, that's not the case. And the new analog brake system does all of that for you. It generates rapid pulsations of the brake pedal when it detects one of the wheels are locking up or not rotating properly. But in order for those systems to work properly, they have to have a fluid that flows quicker through the ABS system and through the brake calipers so they can cycle on and off up to 15, 20, 30 times a second. And that low viscosity brake fluid is part of that new system as the ABS systems advance. You want to make sure you use the correct fluid in your vehicle. So you want to check the owner's manual. The other thing you can do is you can check the top of your brake reservoir is going to tell you what brake fluid is specified for it, whether it's .3 or .4. And you can put .4 in a .3 system, but you should not put .3 in a .4 system. And then you also have to look for those new low viscosity brake fluids, and that's generally going to be at the Mercedes, BMW, Audi level is when they go with the low viscosity brake fluids. And then there are some other brake fluids out there called Super .4 and .4 Plus that are spec .4, the higher temperature, but they actually even offer a higher boiling point temperature than the Department of Transportation requires to be a .4 fluid. So know what brake fluid your vehicle requires and use the correct brake fluid, and you make sure you use the correct viscosity brake fluid, especially when you're dealing with some of these highline European imports. The thicker, the more viscous brake fluid could be an issue and start clicking on lights for you if you don't use the right brake fluid. And
Wait
well,
just a minute.
We need to get your mic on, and then
Say that again?
What you're talking about, can we purchase these different levels of dot anywhere, or specifically dealers, or like an aftermarket shop?
Yeah, the various DOT level brake fluids are available lots of places. Needless to say, we sell them at BG. Thank you very much for the softball throw there. But yeah, they are available, at any of the better parts stores.
I got you. Okay.
And with that, we'll go to a break.
No, we're not going to do a break.
We got work to do.
That was just my pun, but go ahead.
Oh,
it
no pun.
It was his handoff.
It didn't work.
You didn't mention any .com.
Elon Musk has moved to Texas to focus on two big priorities for his company, SpaceX's new Starship vehicle and Tesla's new Gigafactory currently under construction in Austin. There are also potentially enormous tax implications for Mr. Musk, who recently became the world's second wealthiest person. Texas has no personal income tax, while California imposes the highest personal income levies in the nation on his richest residents. Musk, 49, has lived in the L.A. area where SpaceX is headquartered for 2 decades. Tesla is headquartered in Palo Alto, California. And the electric car maker's flagship auto plant is across the San Francisco Bay in Fremont, California.
The old GM NUMMI plant.
So welcome to Texas, Mr. Musk.
And you heard that Ford and the UAW and General Motors opposed a bill in the state of Michigan that was going to allow Tesla to sell cars in Michigan. So they opposed the bill, and now Tesla's having trouble selling cars in Michigan, kind of the way they do here in Texas as well.
General Motors will launch a trailer-capable version. Understand that. Trailer-capable version of its Super Cruise technology on the 2022 GMC Sierra Denali, GMC said on Wednesday.
So Super Cruise with a trailer behind you.
Yeah. Whew. That's a lot of computer stuff going on there.
Yeah, it is.
The driver assist hands-free technology is now available on Cadillac models only, but the Chevrolet Bolt EV will also be equipped with Super Cruise next year. The enhanced version of Super Cruise will enable trailering for the 80% of Sierra drivers who tow. Super Cruise will be available on the late 22 model year light-duty pickups. Super Cruise, which utilizes a driver attention system, LiDAR mapping data, cameras, sensors, and GPS, is available on more than 200,000 miles of compatible roads in the U.S. and Canada. And, of course, that grows on a daily basis.
And you heard that Mercedes-Benz new vans are going to be built on the next generation electric versatility platform. So they are, all those gray Amazon vans you see, the next gen are going to be all electric.
Ford Motor Company delayed production of the Bronco SUV after coronavirus-related logistics issues hampered the German supplier Webasto's ability to equip a Michigan facility in time to make the vehicle's removable roof, according to people familiar with the situation. Webasto declined to comment, referring questions to Ford. A Ford spokesman declined to name the supplier or specific issue involved in the Bronco delay.
He did it.
Yeah.
He's right.
They also referred to the statement it issued last week announcing production would move to summer of 2021.
You heard that General Motors will not be offering the buyout program they're offering Cadillac. They will not offer that to the GMC dealers. It's going to be Cadillac exclusive. We talked about that last week.
Solo, standalone caddies.
Great.
The other thing that I wanted to mention, and I'll mention it again before we leave, is that we're moving the show to a different time. We're going to go from 8 to 11 beginning next Saturday at the Tailpipes and Tacos event. So
it's 8 a.m. to 11
a.m. Central
Standard Time. Yeah.
So get up early and listen. We have to get up early to do the show.
And while we're doing it, because we want to have 6 podcasts a week, and it takes all of that time to be able to do that. So,
So, when you get up, just turn this on and
roll back over.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, Suze. Hey, well, congratulations to Michael Bankston and Dave and Laura Pitts, winners of our Black Bear Diner gift certificates this morning. And with that, that is it for this episode of the In Real Time Car Show. When you're on Facebook, please give us a like and tell your friends about us. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn Hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. The In Real Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and on InRealTime.com. 30-minute but daily podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon, Pandora, and Podcast Addict. Special thanks to all of our guests today. In Real Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. Our video and marketing sacker is Jeffrey Zekin. This week's In Real Time Car Show is produced and directed by Rudolph the Red-Nosed Alky. Special thanks in particular to Mr. George Skelton and his group up there in Temple, Texas for lunch provided
The
today.
catering manager
For
this
booking
weekend.
agent and podcast flicker, Mike Out of This World Mars, His Royalty King Konrad DeLong, Jeff D.Z. Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong saying so long for now and hope that you'll join us again live next Saturday at our new time, 8 to 11 from Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. Thanks for being part of the In Real Time family, and hasta luego, our dear, dear friends.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy a Lupi Tortilla breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, December 19th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all in one place. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a 3-hour friends and family event. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi's in Katy. The In Real Time Car Show will be there too, and you're invited to join us. We'll see you there. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching in real time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com.
Bye, y'all.
That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to noon Central on Facebook, YouTube, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.